Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development. (2025) commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 77 years of independence, and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030, and Viksit Bharat at 2047 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
So with the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's commemorations and celebrations. Today, we are celebrating National Wildlife Day, and which is also celebrated in various countries, especially started in US. America marks National Wildlife Day on September 4th, and it's an opportunity for everyone to step back, take a deep breath, and think about all that surrounds us. It's inspiring to consider preservation and conservation efforts that work to improve the natural world. There remains so much to learn, as Henry David Thoreau once wrote, in wildness, the preservation of the world. We couldn't agree more, so let's take a closer look at this special day. So President Ulysses S. Grant signed the law establishing Yellowstone as America's first national park and the first national park in the world in the West in March 1st, 1872. The boost to the environmentalist movement on September 27, 1962, American biologist and conservationist Rachel Carson published Silent Spring, documenting the adverse effects of pesticides on the environment. On September 27, 1962, the Endangered Species Act was passed on December 28, 1973. President Nixon signed a law protecting the threatened species from extinction as consequences of economic growth and development, untempered by adequate concern and conservation. So National Wildlife Day was born in 2006. Colleen Page created National Wildlife Day in honor of the late wildlife conservationist Steve Irwin, the famed crocodile hunter. So those of us fortunate enough to live close to the wildness that Thoreau wrote about with such startling clarity should use National Wildlife as a motivator to get out and about and to explore the great outdoors. Without the hard work of conservation groups, much of what we love about wildlife and natural habitats would likely be lost forever. So many communities have organizations dedicated to picking up all the trash left behind. Find out when and where they will be at work and join them in cleaning up your town. The amount of water on Earth remains constant and is continuously recycled over time. There are more trees on Earth than there are stars in the Milky Way. Scientists estimate that there are 3 trillion trees on Earth, way more trees, in fact, than there are stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Contrary to popular myth and opinion, bats are not blind and sometimes use their eyesight to hunt rather than using echolocation. Mass extinctions happen more often than you would think. Experts estimate that about 2,000 species of plants and animals become extinct every 24 hours and more than 1,000 times the natural rate of extinction. Many of us are occasionally encouraged to think outside the box, but how often do we acknowledge that the box is more than just a mental constraint? It is physical too. Nature and wildlife reminds us that it's time to get outside. We need a breather. We admire wild creatures and the environments in which they live for a simple reason. They remind us that each of us is tasked with finding the right balance between ourselves and the world we inhabit. So, wildlife is life affirming. National Wildlife Day reminds us of the alarming numbers of endangered animals and habitats, and it encourages us to advocate for preservation and conservation efforts. It inspires us to do good. Today is also commemorated as Umhlanga Reed Dance Day in Eswatini. Umhlanga Reed Dance Day marks the end of Umhlanga festival and is celebrated in the last week of August or the first week of September. This year it takes place on September 4th. The timing of the event is based on the ancient astrology and is decided by the leaders of the community. Every year, more than 25,000 Zuli maidens and all provinces of East Swatini gather at the royal palace to participate in the reed dance, which has evolved from centuries-long Swazi tradition to a modern-day celebration that brings the country together and is center of great economic activity. So the annual Umhlanga Reed Dance Day marks the biggest cultural gathering of the Swazi people coming after an 8-day ceremony. Unmarried girls gather in a centipede-like structure and dance with reeds. The festival begins in late August or early September and aims to strengthen bonds of community amongst a new generation of homemakers. A captain locally known as the Injuna is appointed by the royal family to announce and organize the ceremony. The use of the reed as an official mascot is a nod to the historical relevance of the plant to the lives of Swazi people. The Umhlanga evolved from old Uchwasho custom of Eswatini, which was observed until August 9, 2005. In the old rituals, young girls were kept outside of their tribe and their activities were monitored by the elders. To keep a girl from getting pregnant before marriage, her family was required to pay fine to the local chief. The young girls of the country would also pledge allegiance of service to the Queen Mother of Eswatini. Pride, joy, and unity fill the air as young maidens wear short beaded skirts and dance in the bare-chested unison to celebrate their pledges. The festival also promotes the handicraft industry. Hundreds of regional business outlets selling houseware, stonecraft, wood artwork, and complex glass are stationed across the venue each year. The Umhlanga has received international scrutiny for a while now. From the nudity to virginity test, there's a lot that has come under question. While the officials of the country reject foreign interference, citing a half-baked knowledge of the customs of the country, many local leaders are leading the wave of change by outlawing virginity test on girls younger than 16 as a relic of the past. Eswatini is the second smallest country on the continent, and its soil has borne witness to tremendous history. The proud Swazi culture distinguishes itself for its food, religion, music, kinship, and architecture. From their language to their art, there's a lot to explore about the people of this unique landlocked country. Tourism is one of the biggest contributions to the country's economy. Mark the celebrations by paying a special visit to the place during and after the festival and gain first-hand experience of the diversified culture of Swat. HIV/AIDS is an epidemic in Eswatini with more than 27% of the country's youth with an active diagnosis. The emerging populace is looking for the guidance and substantive care from the international community. Young women are groomed by the elders of society to take pride in their virginity. Thousands of girls wear traditional beadwork and come bare-breasted to express pride in their culture. Thousands of people from the neighboring regions of KwaZulu-Natal, the Eastern Cape, and the Botswana come together to celebrate the festival. It's a symbol of unity. The king addresses the crowd and encourages young girls to practice chastity until their marriage. The festival raises awareness regarding the HIV/AIDS epidemic in the country, which claims over 2,300 lives a year. Umhlanga Reed Dance Day is a remarkable show of unity and commitment to Swazi culture. The celebration has an unfettered place in history. The young maidens are accompanied by the Swazi princess and pledges are drawn out for mutual support and respect between the king and his subjects. Several reforms have been implemented to the way the event is carried out, from restrictions against virginity tests to the outlining of the chastity pledge. The government and the monarchy continue to implement changes that reflect the will of the people. Hundreds of merchants and handloom workers congregated the king's palace to celebrate the festival and participate in the fair. The event marks the biggest economic activity in the country and are of great way for independent artists to showcase their craft to a large audience. Today is also commemorated as National Macadamia Nut Day, which is celebrated and commemorated on 4th September. In US, and we are celebrating Australia's underrated gem, macadamia nuts. This country is mostly known for its wildlife and beautiful landscape, but it is also home to the glorious macadamia nut, which continues with the long history of this traditional nut. Macadamia trees are native to Australia and are classified as tree type that consists of 4 species, each able to produce edible nuts. For this reason, the tree is now grown in different regions of the world. The macadamia nut is also known as the Queensland's nut, the Maruchi nut, and the bauple nut. Rare as they are, macadamia nuts are highly sought after in the culinary world. When it comes to desirability, the most popular name on the list is the white chocolate macadamia nut cookie, which is without a doubt one of the finest cookies created after the chocolate chip cookie. Macadamia nut trees were first discovered by native aborigines in the rainforest of Australia some 1,000 years ago. By textbook date, the nut was introduced in Europe by Alan Cunningham in 1828. Although at that time it had no name, it would take another 29 years for the Australian nut to be named after Scottish-Australian chemist John Macadam. So in 1882, macadamia trees were planted in Hawaii to shield sugarcane from the wind, but the trees weren't fully cultivated until 1880. The nuts from the trees were an instant hit among the locals, leading to the establishment of the nut industry. Australia, South Africa, and US are all leading producers of macadamia nuts. The slow harvesting process and the time it takes to cultivate and grow macadamia nuts is the reason for its high price tag. Celebrations don't get simpler than this. Buy a container of roasted macadamia nuts and snack away or indulge in white chocolate macadamia nuts. If you are looking for something more, macadamia nuts can be used in several ways. They can be roasted, used for making butter, nut milk, cream, oil, nut flour, and are covered in chocolate for a sweet kick. Farmers in Australia work extremely hard to cultivate macadamia, so learn the process from harvesting to manufacture. A single macadamia tree produces nuts for over 100 years. Macadamia nuts are toxic to dogs. The nut is rich in carbohydrates and proteins and has high iron, potassium, and calcium content, so they are nutritious. Macadamia nut oil is also found in cosmetics and other skincare products because of its oxidative stability. The monosaturated fats found in macadamia nuts boost the metabolism and reduce the risk of heart disease. There is no diet that is of not compatible with nuts, whether it is a vegan diet, low carb diet, or keto. You will always benefit from a handful of nuts. Australian macadamia growers are proud of their nature crop and work hard to produce it. We love and applaud their efforts. Other than being tasty snacks on their own, macadamia nuts have become cherry on top in many savory and sweet dishes. Today is also commemorated as Eat an Extra Dessert Day in US. The word dessert might mean a sweet food eaten at the end of the meal, but on Eat a Dessert Day, celebrated on September 4th, the description does not apply. So don't hold back. You can indulge in a dessert any time of during the day and even sneak to the refrigerator after bedtime to have the last slide of cake. Cakes, pies, cookies, and ice cream are customarily served at the end of the meal. But if you plan on having sweet food any time of the day, then anything sweet will do. The term dessert stems from the French word desservir, meaning to clear the table. After the main meal, the table is cleared of used dishes and dessert is then served. Sweet food items have around forever, and it is not clear which was the first dessert, but ice cream dates back to 3000 BC and is a possible. The evolution of the dessert was propelled by the use of fruit and sugar. Sugar was used in India before 500 BC, from where it made its way to China and Macedonia over the next 1000 years. By the 12th century, the sugar trade expanded to Europe and dessert production rocketed after the Industrial Revolution when preservatives and processing of food changed for the better. Today, recipe development has reached new heights and there is a variety of interesting ingredients available. Visual presentation and colorful garnishing have become popular and important factors in raising, baking, and dessert making into a culinary art form. So spend some time in kitchen today whipping up some delicious desserts to your friends or for your friends and family. Be generous, make something special to give you to neighbor or donate it to care home or the elder. If you don't want to prepare dessert, host a dessert party and ask someone to bring favorite dessert. Play a taste guessing game and or have a friendly competition. So with this, we shall end today's commemorations. Thank you everyone for joining us. We request everyone to quickly fill up the form that has been raised in the form of polls before leaving the platform. So see you all tomorrow, the same time with the same joining link. Tomorrow, on occasion of Teachers' Day, we are celebrating Teachers' Day, as well as we have an event in commemoration, which is financial literacy and management for the HEIs, that is for academicians and research scholars and students. At 6:30, the joining link is different, not the same link. So we have already circulated on social media in WhatsApp and Facebook. Those who have registered for the event might have received an acknowledgement copy or a copy of your registration form to your email. It also consists the joining link. Anyway, we'll also send an email to all the registered participants once again today. So we request everyone to invite your friends, family, and colleagues to the event and make it a grand success. So see you all tomorrow. Happy Teachers' Day once again. Take care. Good night.